For my steak, I'm going to be teaching you guys on how to butter baste. That's my preferred way of cooking a steak. For seasoning, I have salt, pepper, garlic powder and onion powder, rosemary, and then thyme. You can always have fresh thyme, which is better, but I wasn't able to get some. I also like to use olive oil. I'll put the olive oil in the pan, get the oil really hot, and then you put this part of the steak in first. It's called the fat cap, and you can get a really good sear on it, which makes the steak really good. I like this steak because it's kind of thin, has good marbling through here, so it's overall a pretty good steak. For seasoning, I like to go pretty heavy. I'll season both sides of the steak. So I'll start garlic powder, and you gotta just go a nice coating there, making sure to tap it in to the steak so none of it falls off. You also season the fat cap. So get some in there, and then flip it to the other side. And I'll just repeat this process with each seasoning, kind of varying. Onion powder I'll do a lot too, but salt, obviously you don't want to overpower the steak. I've pretty much seasoned the steak. You can see I have pepper, salt, onion powder, garlic powder on there. I've seasoned both sides, fat cap pretty well. And I also like to just keep the seasoning on the cutting board, kind of flip it in, make sure you get all the seasoning. Now what I'll do is I'll grab my olive oil here, put down just a pretty decent amount, and then turn it on high heat. Get the oil really hot until it turns into white smoke, and then I'll put my fat cap down. I'll get a video of that. Put the fat cap on it. You'll try to get a really good sear on both sides. Then take it off, let the heat cool, and then we'll add our butter, rosemary, thyme, and all the aromatics, and chopped up my rosemary and peeled my garlic. Ideally, you could mince these to get the most flavor out of it, but I actually like having them as 3 cloves. They're pretty sizable, large cloves, so it should be enough to season the steak. Now I have my heat on high, and I'm gonna get this oil really hot so we can put the steak on. Our oil's pretty hot now. I don't know if you guys can see the smoke coming off of it. But we're gonna go ahead and put the steak on just for a second. This is gonna hurt really bad because this is hot oil, and it's gonna spray a ton onto my hand. It's actually not that bad. Now you can see some more of the smoke coming off. I'm just gonna press it really hard in, and just to try to really kind of crust up this side. So only after a few seconds. Let's see. Yep, already you're getting a little bit of a crust on there, so I'll leave it on there. Keep pressing it hard. Then I'll switch to this side. Press this down flat. I can grab like a spatula if I need. You can hear it popping and all that. It's just super hot oil, and it's just really cooking the sides of the steak and getting a good crust, which is what we want. There we go. It's already cooked that much. Obviously, the center is not going to get cooked, but really what we want is just the outside to get a nice crust. For a little bit. Now the crust on this side should be pretty good. Yeah, it's got a nice edges. The middle is a little bit less than I'd want it to be, but it's kind of hard to get that. So now I'm going to let that rest for a little bit, let the pan cool down, and we're going to add our rosemary, thyme, and butter to the pan. But that's super hot. We got to let this rest. Right now, you could cut it open to see kind of if you're at a medium rare or not. You're not going to be close. You're going to be at a pretty raw steak right now because you still have to cook the steak in the second part. Now, so I've re-added my steak. It was about 90 degrees internal, and for a medium rare, which is what I like, you want about 130 to 140. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the pan, and kind of throw all the butter over. You want to see how this butter is still pretty yellow. You don't want it to become brown, or else it'll make the steak taste kind of bad. So now what I'm going to do is, what's the butter basting part, I'm going to grab this handle. It's a little bit hot. I have it about medium to medium low, and I'm going to take all this garlic, all this rosemary, and in the butter, and I'm going to start just kind of throwing it on top of the steak, letting all those flavors kind of seep into the meat and just make it taste really well. I'll flip it, all that stuff. And I'm going to cook it here. I'll keep checking the temp until I get to the desired temp, which is, like I said, about 130 Fahrenheit to like 140. So I'll keep throwing this butter on. You can see it's a little bit browning, but not by much. You don't want brown butter, but I'll keep it like this. I'll keep throwing the butter on until the steak is done. We've let the steak rest for a little bit. Now we're going to cut it open. So I'm going to take my aromatics off. You can see it's got Pretty nice crust. It's all gonna be all fat. But yeah, it's hot. Looks a little bit above a medium rare, maybe a medium, but overall a pretty well cooked steak. You can see how juicy it is. Take a bite there. You can really smell the rosemary. It comes through way more than you would think. Steak is now all cut. That's really how I'd eat it. I won't add anything. Probably just eat it flat like that. It's a nice medium rare. I think I did a really good job.
Thank you, Mac, for that beautiful representation. Now, I'll be showing you another way and another cut to cook. And these are 2 porterhouses, and we're going to be smoking them. Actually, a second look at these look like T-bones, and you can tell by they're a little bit smaller, and the tenderloin portion is a little bit smaller too. It's a little bit thinner, but they're basically the same cut. A T-bone consists of 2 cuts, a strip loin and a tenderloin, and you make your New York strip out of a strip loin, and you make a filet mignon out of your tenderloin. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. Now it's time to season the steaks, and my 2 picks for rub is Johnny's seasoning salt and Slap Your Mama. These 2 basically have everything you need: salt, pepper, Cajun, every seasoning, every garlic that you need to make a good steak. So I like going with these 2. So first, I like putting on Slap Your Mama first, just to have that heat more locked in. And yeah, I like going a little bit generous. You know, I like going, you know, I like spice, so I'm gonna go a little bit more generous than you'd normally see on a steak, but you know, that's all right. Still, you want it to keep it light, because remember, you're gonna be putting on the Johnnies after. So once again, always remember to wash your hands before you do this. A lot easier way to get the sides that I like to do is cup your hand like this. Just go like along that. It's a lot easier, and it takes a lot less time, and you get a perfect crust on the sides. So, and you know, I just like, before putting it on the grill, just giving it a nice rub, getting that flavor locked in there. Because after all, I smoke a lot of meat, so it's kind of second nature to me. We're done with Slap Your Mama. Now we go on to Johnny's. Now with Johnny's, I like to go a little bit lighter. Kind of just like, I like to use it as like, I don't know, think of it as a secondary rub or secondary seasoning. Not and don't put as much as you did with the Slap Your Mama or whatever you're using. With the back, you should just do the same thing. Just put the Johnny seasoning, you know, a little bit less than the Slap Your Mama or whatever the 2 you are using, but yeah. Now I think these are ready to go on the smoker. Transport. Okay, now you are at your smoker. First, check if you have enough pellets. Open it up, turn it on, and then put it to smoke until it starts smoking. Now, since it is smoking now, you just put it to high, and you wait till it gets the temperature. It is now 392, and it's time to put on the steaks. Put the steaks in the center. We will be cooking this 7 minutes on each side, and then we'll be taking it out. It has been 7 minutes. It's now time to flip the steaks. That's one right here. Now see. And then we'll be cooking for another 7 minutes. So then, they look good, so now I'm going to take them off. Close this. put it to the power down cycle and wait for it to stop. Now you get your favorite sides and enjoy. Let's have a taste. Perfectly cooked. Perfect.
The only